Level 1, the gym rat. You are born in a block of low apartments on the wrong side of the city. The elevator has not worked in 3 years. The hallway smells of old paint and other people's dinners. Your mother works 2 jobs and is always tired. Your father left before you could walk. You have a younger brother named Marcus. He follows you everywhere, small and loud. Money is thin most weeks. Some weeks it is thinner than thin. You wear shoes a size too small until they tear. You learn to fight before you learn to read well. The block does not forgive softness. Boys who cannot defend themselves get eaten alive. One afternoon a bigger kid takes your lunch. You swing wild and land nothing but bruises. An old man watching from a doorway laughs, not unkindly. He tells you to come to his gym on Friday. His name is Sal. He ran a corner in another life, in another decade. His gym is a basement with 1 bag and a rope. The mirror is cracked down the middle. The heavy bag bleeds sand from an old tear. You show up because you have nothing better to do. Sal wraps your hands before he lets you hit anything. He says hands are the only tool you will ever own. Take care of the tool or the tool fails you. You hit the bag until your knuckles split. You hit it again the next day anyway. Marcus tags along and sits on a folding chair. He watches you the way you once watched the older boys. Sal never charges your mother a cent. He says talent is rare and he intends to use it. You do not understand yet what that will cost you. You skip meals sometimes so Marcus can eat first. You do not tell your mother when you go hungry. She has enough to carry without your hunger too. At night you shadowbox in the small room you share. You throw punches at a life you do not have yet. You do not dream of belts or arenas. You dream of a full refrigerator and a door that locks. Sal watches you shadowbox once through a cracked window. He says nothing, but he starts training you twice a week. You do not know it yet, but the basement has already chosen you. Somewhere out there, the block is still full of boys like you. Most of them never find a Sal. You did. You do not yet understand how rare that is. Some nights you lie awake listening to sirens 2 streets over. You wonder if the siren is coming for someone you know. You wonder if it will one day come for you. Sal never talks about the men who came before you in that basement. Some of them, he admits once, never made it out at all. You do not ask him what that means. You are afraid you already know. Level 2, the amateur. You turn 16 and Sal enters you in your first tournament. The gloves are stiff and smell of someone else's sweat. Your stomach twists in the locker room before the bell. You look for Marcus in the crowd and find him near the front. He is wearing your old jacket, 3 sizes too big. You win by decision, barely, breathing through your teeth. Sal does not smile. He tells you what you did wrong for 10 straight minutes. You learn that praise is rare in this basement. Correction is the only love Sal knows how to give. You fight in church halls and community centers for 2 years. Some rings have real canvas. Some are gym floors with tape marking the square. You lose 4 times and each loss lives in your chest for weeks. Sal says losing early is a gift most fighters never get. He says the men who never lose as amateurs shatter as pros. You do not believe him, not really, not yet. You skip school more than you should to make weight and train. Your mother worries but does not stop you. She has seen what the streets do to boys with idle hands. At least the gym has walls and a man who cares if you eat. You make the Golden Glove semi-final in your final year. You lose to a kid from the east side named Titus. He is faster than you and colder than you. He does not celebrate the win. He simply turns and walks away, already thinking of the next one. You watch him leave and something hardens in your gut. You do not forget his name. Sal tells you amateur boxing is not the sport. He says amateur boxing is only the audition. The real weighing happens once money enters the room. He says the pros will strip away everything soft in you. You ask him if that is a warning or a promise. He says it is both, and it always has been. That night you write Titus Cole's name on the inside of your locker. You do not know when you will see it again. You only know that you will. Level 3, the professional. You turn pro at 19 with $400 in your pocket. Your first fight pays 200 of it, minus Sal's cut. The opponent is a journeyman with 30 losses and a granite chin. You are supposed to win easily and you nearly do not. He hits harder than any amateur ever hit you. In round 3, he catches you clean and the ring tilts sideways. You hear the crowd through water, distant and strange. Something old and stubborn in you refuses to fall. You survive the round on legs that do not feel like yours. You win a split decision that feels like a loss. Sal says that fight taught you more than 10 easy wins could. Pain, he says, is the only teacher that never lies to you. You fight 6 more times that year in casinos and small arenas. You share dressing rooms with men twice your age and half your hope. You learn the business is uglier than the sport it hides inside. Promoters skim purses and call it a marketing fee. Sal fights for every dollar you are owed and wins some, not all. You send half of every purse home to your mother. Marcus is in high school now, and he still comes to fights. He sits ringside now instead of the back row. You buy your mother a better apartment on a higher floor. The elevator there actually works, and you tell her that matters. She says the elevator was never the problem, you were the problem. She says worrying about you is worse than any poverty she knew. You do not know how to answer that, so you hug her instead. Your record climbs to 15-1, 12 by knockout. Local papers start writing your name with adjectives attached. Sal warns you that adjectives are a kind of trap. He says a fighter who reads his praise stops training his weaknesses. You nod and agree and read the article twice anyway. Late that year, you see Titus Cole's name on a fight card. He has turned pro too, undefeated, fighting 2 states over. You do not reach out. You do not need to. Both of you know the road only bends one way. It bends toward a ring with both your names on the poster. Level 4, the Contender. Your manager moves you up in competition, one hard step at a time. You fight a former title challenger and drop him in round 6. The win puts your name inside the world rankings for the first time. Number 12, a small number that changes how people look at you. Sal cries a little when he sees it, though he denies it after. He says few men from that basement ever see their name ranked. He says you owe it to every boy still sitting on that folding chair. You think of Marcus watching you shadowbox through a cracked window. You wonder if he is still watching, even from a distance now. Marcus has stopped coming to the gym as often as before. He has his own friends now, his own troubles brewing quietly. You are too deep in camp to notice how quiet he has become. Camp eats your whole life in a way nothing else ever has. You wake at 5, run 6 miles, sleep, then train again at noon. You spar until your legs shake and your hands ache to the bone. You cut weight in plastic suits that make the world spin. Elena, a nurse you met at your mother's old clinic, starts coming to fights. She does not flinch at blood the way some people do. She has seen worse in an emergency room on a Friday night. You marry her in a small ceremony between 2 fight camps. Sal is your best man, wearing a suit that does not fit him well. You do not have time for a honeymoon, and she does not ask for one. She says she married the fighter, not the vacation. You climb to number 6 in the rankings within 2 years. A title eliminator is announced, and your name is on the card. The opponent across from you is Titus Cole. Undefeated, ranked 1 spot above you, cold as the day you first lost to him. The promoters call it a grudge match, though you never spoke a public word. Sal calls it the fight that decides which one of you was right. You do not sleep well the week before. You do not tell Elena why. Level 5, the Ranked Contender. The eliminator fight sells out a mid-size arena for the first time in your career. Titus enters first, expressionless, exactly as he was at 16. You enter to a song Marcus picked, though he is not there tonight. He said work kept him away, and you chose to believe him. The bell rings and Titus is exactly as fast as you remember. He picks you apart for 4 rounds with surgical, joyless punches. Sal screams instructions you can barely hear over the crowd. In round 5 you find an opening he leaves half a second too long. You take it, and he goes down hard, and does not beat the count. The arena erupts, and you feel nothing you expected to feel. You feel exhausted and hollow and strangely, deeply sad. Sal hugs you in the ring and says you finally beat the ghost. You do not tell him the ghost does not feel beaten at all. It feels like you have only traded it for a bigger one. The win vaults you to the #1 contender spot. A title shot is promised within the year, pending negotiation. Negotiation, you learn, is where promoters make their real living. Weeks pass, then months, while lawyers argue over percentages you never see. You train anyway, because idle hands lose whatever edge they built. Your mother's health begins to slip that winter, quietly at first. You visit when camp allows, which is less often than it should be. She tells you not to worry, that a fighter must stay sharp. You almost believe her because it is easier than the alternative. Elena is pregnant by spring, and you learn it between sparring rounds. You hold the news like a title belt you have not yet earned. Sal, older now, moves slower around the ring than he used to. He waves off your concern and calls himself indestructible, the way he always has. You want to believe him the way you want to believe your mother. Belief, you are learning, is often just fear wearing a calmer face. Level 6, the Challenger. The contract finally clears, and the champion agrees to face you. His name is Andre Voss, a wrecking machine who has not lost in 9 years. He has knocked out 14 of his last 16 opponents. Reporters ask if you are afraid, and you say no on camera. In the locker room at night, alone, the honest answer is different. Your son is born 6 weeks before the biggest fight of your life. You name him Michael, after the fighter you idolized as a boy. You hold him once before leaving for the final stretch of camp. His hand grips your finger the way small hands do. You memorize the weight of it before you have to let go. Sal collapses during a training session 2 weeks before the fight. His heart, the doctors say, simply gave out from decades of use. You sit beside his hospital bed instead of hitting the bag that night. He tells you, weakly, that he trained you for exactly this moment. He says a real fighter finishes the fight his coach cannot finish. He dies 4 days later, on a Tuesday, without ceremony. You bury him beside a boxing ring he built with his own hands. You do not cry at the funeral because Sal taught you tears solve nothing. You cry alone in your car afterward, where no one has to see. A new trainer steps in for the final 2 weeks, a stranger. He knows the technical notes but none of the history in your hands. You fight Voss anyway because the date does not wait for grief. The fight is brutal, 10 rounds of trading everything you both have left. In the 11th, you find the same half-second opening Sal always preached about. Voss goes down, and this time he does not rise before 10. The referee waves it off, and the arena becomes a single roaring sound. You look up into the lights and think only of an empty folding chair. Level 7, the World Champion. You are champion at 28, a title belt heavier than you imagined. Reporters swarm you differently now, hungry for a story, not just a score. Your face appears on posters in the city you grew up avoiding at night. Your old block puts up a mural on the wall where you first got robbed. You visit it once, quietly, without cameras, and stand there a long while. The elevator in your childhood building is finally repaired, years too late to matter. Money arrives in amounts that do not feel entirely real. You buy your mother a house with no stairs, since her knees have worsened. She tells you the house is lovely and asks when you will slow down. You tell her champions do not get to slow down, not yet. She says that is exactly what worries her most about all of this. Marcus asks you for money that year, more than once. You give it without asking questions, because he is your brother. Elena asks you to ask the questions anyway, gently, more than once. You do not, because camp always arrives before the hard conversations do. Michael is walking now, chasing the dog around a yard you finally own. He does not know yet what his father does for a living. He only knows you leave for long stretches and return with new scars. You defend the title twice that year against overmatched, hand-picked challengers. The new trainer calls them tune-ups, easy paydays before the real tests. You start to understand how promoters build a champion's myth on purpose. Easy fights inflate a record the public reads as invincibility. You go along with it because refusing costs you money you have started to need. The house, the staff, the family now depends on your fist staying employed. You begin to see the sport as 2 fights happening at once. One happens in the ring. The other happens in rooms you are never invited into. In those rooms, men who never trained a day decide your worth. You hate it, and you cash the checks anyway. Level 8, the Unified Champion. A unification bout is proposed against the champion of a rival sanctioning body. His name is Kwame Oderi, a boxer they call the Butcher of Accra. The fight would combine every major title into a single undisputed crown. Only a handful of fighters in history have ever held all four. The promoters smell the biggest payday of the decade and move fast. Negotiations this time take 18 months of public sniping and private threats. You learn to smile for cameras while quietly furious behind your eyes. You learn the sport rewards men who perform anger more than men who feel it. The fight finally happens in a football stadium built for 60,000 fans. It sells out in 9 minutes and breaks every record the sport has kept. You fight Kwame for 12 of the hardest rounds of your life. Neither man goes down, and the decision comes down to 3 scorecards. You win by the narrowest margin the judges allow, a single point. Reporters call it the fight of the generation, and maybe it is. You do not feel like a legend standing in the ring afterward. You feel like a man who has traded years off his life for a night. Your hands ache differently now, a deep ache that ice no longer fixes. Doctors mention words like early arthritis in tones meant to sound casual. You nod and change the subject before Elena can hear the details. Michael is in school now, old enough to watch the fights on television. He asks why you sometimes forget words at the dinner table. You tell him it is nothing, though a small cold fear moves through you. Your mother dies that winter, quietly, in the house with no stairs. You are in camp when it happens, 3 states away, unreachable for 2 days. You do not close her eyes the way a son should. You bury her a week later, in a suit that costs more than her old apartment rent. Marcus does not come to the funeral, and no one can find him. You send people looking, quietly, so the press does not learn of it first. Somewhere in the city, your brother has become someone you no longer recognize. Level 9, the Legend. Your name is spoken now beside the greatest fighters the sport has known. A network offers you a 9-figure deal to fight 2 more times. Promoters court you the way they once courted Titus, all flattery and math. You realize, slowly, that you have become the man the young fighters fear. Somewhere a 19-year-old is writing your name inside his locker door. You find Marcus finally, in a shelter downtown, thin and hollow-eyed. You do not ask what happened. You already suspect, and the answer would only wound you further. You pay for a program, a real one, and visit every week you can. Some weeks camp does not allow the visit, and guilt fills the gap instead. Elena tells you, one night, that you have missed most of Michael's childhood. You tell her you are doing it all for him, the way you always have. She says that reasoning stopped being true around your 3rd title defense. You do not have an answer, so you say nothing and hold her hand. You fight 1 more unification bout against a fighter half your age. He is faster than you now, the way you were once faster than men before you. You win on experience and every trick a body remembers even when it slows. But you feel something shift in your hands that night, a permanence. The doctor's private words grow less casual, more direct, harder to ignore. He says another decade of this and your hands may not answer you at all. He says your speech may slow further, your memory may thin at the edges. You think of Sal's collapsed body on the gym floor years ago. You wonder, quietly, if the sport simply collects every man who serves it long enough. Michael asks if he can start training at a gym nearby. You say no faster than you meant to, and he flinches at your tone. You soften your voice and try again, but the moment has already passed. You do not know how to tell your son the cost of the thing that raised you. Level 10, the Champion Emeritus. You retire at 36, undefeated in your last 11 fights, for titles unified. The retirement press conference fills a ballroom with cameras and old rivals turned friends. Titus is there, older now, grey at the temples, standing to applaud you. He shakes your hand and says you were always the better man that night. You do not know if he means the fight or something larger than the fight. Your name goes into a Hall of Fame 2 years later, framed in bronze. The plaque lists your record with a precision your life never actually had. You stand at the podium and your hand trembles slightly on the notes. No one in the audience notices. You notice, and you say nothing about it. Elena sits in the front row, older, patient, still beside you after everything. Michael, grown now, sits next to her, no longer asking about the gym. He works in finance, steady and unbroken, exactly the life you fought to give him. Marcus is 3 years clean, running a small program for kids in your old neighborhood. He teaches boys to wrap their hands the way Sal once taught you. You visit the basement gym sometimes, though it has new owners now. The cracked mirror is gone, replaced by a wall of framed photographs. Yours hangs largest among them, beside a small plaque with Sal's name. Your hands ache most mornings now, and some words arrive to you slower than before. The doctors call it the cost of doing business in a sport built on damage. You call it the price of the only life that was ever offered to you. At night, you sit in a house with no stairs and remember a basement. You remember the smell of old paint and a hallway with a broken elevator. You do not regret the climb, not entirely, though you understand its full weight now. You gave the sport your hands, your father's absence, and every year with your mother. It gave you a name people still recognize on the street. Some nights you think that trade was fair. Some nights you are not sure any trade like that can ever be fair. Somewhere in a low apartment on the wrong side of some city tonight, a boy is hungry, and a bigger kid has just taken his lunch, and somewhere an old man is watching from a doorway, deciding whether tonight is the night he finally speaks up. The boy does not know yet what the climb will cost him. He only knows he is hungry, and that no one is coming to feed him but himself. And somewhere, quietly, the cycle begins again.